Unavailable.
Well, I'll try. Belina will try. Thank you. I appreciate it. Zak the Mishnah. Daf Pei Dalid Amid Beis. New parak of Elohin Nechnakim. We're going through steadily through the Mises Bezdin. We're up to the last one, Quincy Rabbanan. It's Skilus Reifa Herek Chenek. So up to Chenek. Elohin Nechakim Makav. B'imay, someone who hits his father and his mother. Begoin of Nefesh Yisrael, someone who kidnaps a person. Zakin Mamre, a Zaken Mamre al Pi Bezdin, someone, a Zaken, a Talmid Chacham, who rebels against Bezdin. They come up with the Sanhedrin makes a psak and he refuses to abide by it. The Navi Asheker, a false prophet, a Navi that says something was from the Rebbeinu Shalom and it wasn't. V'hamisnava b'shem avodas kechavim. This is a different thing. It's not a Navi, like that. That's why I was careful to say Navi Sheker is someone who says a false prophecy. This is someone who's not claiming to say a nevuah from the Rebbeinu Shalom, but rather he's saying a nevuah b'shem avodas kechavim, like Muhammad. But I'm sorry, not Muhammad. Fakert, a Buddhist. V'habal eshes ish, someone who is a standard man who's an adulterer. Someone who's born a Eshes Ish, that's also gets the default Isser of Chanek, Mis of Chanek. Zayme Bas Kayin Ubayala. A Bas Kayin, as we know, we had the machlekes whether it's talking about a Nesuah or a Naira Mirasa, but whatever it applies to, the Bas Kayin gets a din of Sreifa. She gets upgraded to Sreifa. So we say that only applies to her. But if there was a Eid Zaimim, if there was an Eid who said that she was a Bas Kayin Shezinsa, and it turns out he was lying, he would not get the same Misa that she gets, but rather the Eid Zaimim would get the Misa of Chanek. Why? Because as the Mishnah continues, Ubayallah, the man who's bo on a Bas Kayin also only gets Chanek. And we darshan in the pasuk that the Zaimim gets the Misa of the man, not the Misa of the Isha. The man, the Eid has to be a man. The Eid is an Eid. A woman can't be an Eid. So it's talking about a man, and the man is going to get the same Misa as that's part of the drasha. I mean, I'm not saying that logically it has to be the case, but the drasha is that he gets the same Misa as the man who was born. So Gemara. Where does it come from that someone who hits his mother and father gets a misa of chanek? It says they get misa. This is the default. This is the catch-all provision. If you don't have something that says it's skilus reifa herego chanek, then it defaults to chanek. So Gemara ema de katole miktel. Gemara says. The Torah says "Maka ava v'imay." We have a lot of times in the pasuk that it says "Maka." We're going to see examples soon in the Gemara. And "Haka" very often means "Haka" where it kills someone. Why are we assuming that this "Haka" of hitting a father and mother is not "Haka" of Misa? It's just a "Haka" where someone hit them without killing them. Zak Gemara. Wonderful. The Gemara says, I'll bring you a raya that it must be, it's not talking about killing his father. We're talking about, we're on this Pei Dalet on the base by the next parak. We're talking about the din that someone who hits his father or mother is mechuyev misas chanek. So Gemara asked, how do we know it's talking about hitting his mother or father? Maybe it's talking about killing them. Very often when the Torah says a lashon of makkah, it means to kill. So Gemara brings a raya. It says, we know that the misa for someone who hits from makkah ava v'imay is chanek, and someone who kills someone else gets hereg. According to the Chamim, hereg is a mohammedik misa than chanek. So how could it be that the Torah specifies if when we talk about Makav V'ima, it's talking about killing them? How could the Torah specify a more kula dika misa for someone who kills his father than someone who kills someone else. It has to be more chamadik. So this is a good raya, according to the Rabban who say Chanek is more kal than Saif. Then you have a good raya, that Maka Avimai must not be talking about Misa. Like we said before, this is the same machlokes. It says that Chanek is more chomer than Saif. Ma'ikal Meimer, again, how do you know that Maka Avimai refers to a hakah, where a regular hitting, not killing? It says Lagabi, someone who kills someone else, not someone who's killing his father. The general din that someone who kills someone. It says Maka ish v'meis yumas. Uksiv oibevi ko biyada v'yamois. Says another pasuk. It says if he hits him with hatred, he gets killed. Shmamino kol hechadika kostam lav misu. From the fact in both of these psukim, it had to say Maka ish v'meis. Why does it have to say that he died? You see from here, wherever it does it just says hakah without me. So the fact that it had to say, when it's telling you the din of someone who killed someone, it has to say that he hit him and then he died. You see that Stam saying a lashon of hakah is not enough to tell you. You wouldn't assume it's misa unless the Torah says it specifically. Now the Gemara just goes into a side point. Once we mention these two psukim that talk about killing someone, the Gemara says, why did we need two psukim to say the din of someone who kills someone else, not a son who hits his father? That's say a pasuk, someone who hits another person gets misa, and that's to say, and we also have a pasuk of kol maka nefesh. Kol nefesh adam yumas. Because of Rachman maka ish umeis. If the Torah just said maka ish umeis, there's someone who hits a man and he dies. Havmin ish devar mitzvah ink takatan loy. That you're only mechoyev for killing someone if you kill an adult. Maybe you're not mechoyev for killing a child. Because Rachman kol maka nefesh. So that's why the Torah says a lashon of maka nefesh. Anyone or maka Kiyake kol nafesh. That tells you even a katan. Because of Rachmana kol maka nafesh, havamino, afilu nefelim, afilu ben shmaina. I would have thought it means even a nefel, a child that's born, but it's not capable of living past 30 days, or a child that was born in the 8th month, which the Gemara says is not capable of living. It's not a viable child. Maybe a person will be mechuyev misa for killing such a non-viable child. So that's what the pasuk has to say, ish, to tell you not kol nefesh doesn't go so far as to include in the din misa even someone who kills a non-viable infant. Tzrichi. So now that was just a diversion. Now we're going back to what we were talking about, the din of someone who hits his father and mother. So we already determined that one who hits his parents, he's chayiv, he doesn't have to kill them. If he hits them, he's going to be chayiv misa.
What does it mean, ben shmoy? Ben shmoy meaning that it's...
That we often find in the Gemara that under the medical treatments that they had at that time, or the medical knowledge that they had at the time, a child who was born in the 8th month of pregnancy is not able to live. It's always going to die. Now, a child born could die, could survive 7th or 9th month, but not in the 8th month. That's you find that throughout the Shas. But the Gemara understands that to be the facts.
Yes, things changed.
Things clearly have changed. I mean, it's clearly not you find very often it's not the case. I actually have 3 children that were born in the 8th month, all on the same. They all have the same birthday. All 3 of them. My first kids are triplets. They were born in the 8th month. Yeah. I mean, I think when it's talked about in the Mefarshim, they say that when those children who survive from the 8th month were really not from the 8th month. They were, they developed slower, they developed faster. It's not like a new thing. It's, the Rishonim also saw that people in the 8th month would survive. That's the Gemara. So Gemara says, once we've said that anyone who hits, it says, we learned from the pasuk that anyone who hits, doesn't have to be that he died. Because we learned out from the pasuk of Kol Maka Nefesh. Maybe even if without doing a chabur, it says Maka. And if he does any kind of, if he hits him even without doing a wound, without making an open wound, maybe the son would still be Mechayiv Misa. It has to be that it makes a wound. We learn it now from hitting a behema. Just like when one hits a behema, you only have to pay if you cause a wound. The pasuk says, nefesh is a reference to blood. So only when you cause the animal to bleed. So we learn how to hekesh from a behema to an adam, and we assume it's not talking so we assume it's talking about someone who hits his parent. Maskal or Yirmi asked the obvious question: if someone weakened someone else's animal by loading it up with rocks, it gave him a heavy burden, and he broke its back, but there's no wound, he's not going to be mechayiv. The Torah says you have to pay when you mazik someone else's property. You have to pay. It's a little hard to understand, like what the shaka of a Torah in this Gemara is. The Gemara somehow assumed that because the Torah says nefesh, that limits the responsibility, your liability when you damage an animal. But then the Gemara says, "Oh no, when you damage an animal, it's hezek." So, but we were just saying it's from a pasuk. So why can't the pasuk override what we thought? The Torah says you have to pay for what you damage, but why does it? Why does that outweigh the pasuk? Right? I mean, what was the havamina and what's the maskana? But in any case, the Gemara, it certainly would be different than anything we ever saw that someone who damages an animal has to have a chabura, and that makes sense. So we're back to our original question: how do we know that someone who damages his parents is only if there's a chabura? Since, like we've proven or we've determined that it can't be this nefesh can't be saying that you're potter if you don't do a wound on an animal. So therefore we apply it to someone who hits his parent and says that it's only if he causes a wound. If we're saying it's a tneu inyan, it's not a hekesh. A hekesh means that we apply the same din over there as we have over here. But now we're saying instead it's tneu inyan. So why is the Torah putting together a behema together with an adam? So like the Bechizki had said, we had this a couple of weeks ago, that a person who does who kills someone b'shaygik, the Bechizki says we learn out from a behema that just like a behema, you're always going to be chayiv, whether it was done on purpose or by mistake. So too, someone who kills someone, whether it's b'shaygik or on purpose, he's also going to be potter for any mominus that would be we learn out that the din of kamle b'derabim potters you from having to pay applies even from a behemoth. So Mahani Klaman Islay Bhutan, everyone holds up Bhutan Bechizki. So what is the hekesh time? Makad little four potters coming to tell you that if someone was putting in what do you call it? An IV for that he's only chayiv for hitting him for causing a chabura where he's hitting him for no reason. But if there's a reason to help his father, then he's potter. Obviously, we're not talking about pikuach nefashos. This is not pikuach nefashos. Clearly, would be mutter in either case. But we're talking about little fool where it's not going to save his life. Dibayalu, Ben Mahu Sheyakas Dam La'aviv. What's the din if a father can let blood as a health measure to do it for his father? Rav Masna Amar V'yahavta l'reicha kamaycha. He says V'yahavta l'reicha kamaycha. You have to help your fellow Jew. Your father is not any less a fellow Jew, and you have to do to him as you would do to yourself. So therefore, you have to help him by being makas his dam. Just like if someone caused damage to an animal while he was helping the person out by saving the animal, a veterinarian doesn't have to pay if he has to amputate an animal's leg. You don't say he has to pay for the leg. The owner wants him to save the animal's life. So that's what we learn from the Hekesh. If someone does a chabura in his father while he's doing refuah, he's going to be papa. Now the Gemara says, Rav Papa lo shavik lebrei lemishkal le silva. Rav Papa did not allow his son to take out a splinter because he was afraid it would cause a chabura. Mar brei de Ravina lo shavik lebrei lemiftach le kavsa. Mar brei de Ravina did not allow his son to open a boil del mechavel. Bahavel shigas iser. Because they were both worried that if he takes out a splinter or he lances a boil, it will cause a chabura, and he'll be over on a iser. So it seems that they were chaylik on our conclusion. They disagree with the Manda Amar that said that Rav Yirmiyah said. I'm sorry, was it no Rav Yirmiyah?
Rav Masna. We had a few.
Yeah, right. So they are being chaylik on that original Manda Amar. They seem to be chaylik, and they say that you're not allowed to risk causing a damage, even though these are both refuah. Taking out a splinter and lancing a boil are for refuah. Gemara, ihachi achar nami. If that's the case, nobody should be allowed to take out a splinter. No one's allowed to. You're not allowed to make a chabur in another yid. You're not allowed to damage a person. You're not allowed to hurt him. And if you're saying that we're worried about that when you take out a splinter, you lance a boiler, you're going to end up causing a chabur. Everyone's also to make a chabur. So Gemara, achar shegaslav. No, it's different. The obvious difference. If another person other than the son does these things, then he makes a chabura. It's only a lav. But no, he's a shkaga that he might end up. He wouldn't be actually mechuyev chanek because he's not doing it on purpose. But you can't. They hold you're not allowed to take the risk of being mechuyev chanek or doing something that would be mechuyev chanek. So we're going to ask on this psak that we're making, that one cannot do something that would cause, so doing something l'refuah is aser. We're talking over there about the dinei muksa. A machet shel yad is a needle, a sewing needle, which obviously it's a klisha malachte le'eser. It's intended to be used for something that's aser. The din is something that's a klisha malachte le'eser. You're not allowed to. You're allowed to move it if you're for a purpose that's mutter. If you want to, I think for example, let's say there's if you need its place or whatever, you have a hammer and you want to use it to crack nuts. It's a klisha malachta. So you usually use it to bang nails, which is also on Shabbos. But you want to crack nuts, you're allowed to move it. So we say if there's a needle and you want to take it to take out a splinter, you're allowed, because taking out a splinter, the idea the Mishnah is saying is a devar heter. That's something you're allowed to do on Shabbos. Why don't we chayish that maybe it's going to come to make a chabura and it's going to be a shigas skila? If we're saying that you're allowed to do, if you're not allowed to do something, you're not allowed to take out your father's splinter because maybe it'll be a shigas chanek. Why don't we say the same story over there, that if this person is going to take the needle to use it to take out a splinter, which we're giving as an example of something that's mutter, it shouldn't be mutter because he might end up drawing blood, which is mechayiv skila. So tomorrow hasa makalkalu. The Gemara says no. Even if you would draw blood, that's makalkal. That's not going to be mechayiv. What is the? I forgot what the issue of drawing blood is. Drawing blood is it dash? I think it's dash. Yeah, but the malacha of drawing blood does not apply when you cause it, when you make a cut. You're not going to be mechayiv for the malacha if you're doing it, if you're causing damage, and drawing blood is doing damage. So that's good according to Bandam that says if when you do a malacha, you're causing damage, you're doing something destructive, you're potter. According to Bandam who says that even if you do a destructive act with the malacha, you're still chayiv. Why over there are we saying that you are allowed to move the needle to take out a splinter? Rav Shimon is the man who says Makalkal v'chabura is chayiv. Rav Shimon has a different head. Rav Shimon da'ama kom malacha she'ena tzricha legufa pater. Any malacha that is not doing something positive. The example you always give is if someone is taking out a bench because he needs it outside and he's mitzi it. That's a kli shemlachta. That's a malacha she'tzricha legufa. But if he takes out a mace from the house because he doesn't want the mace in the house, that's not a kli shemlachta she'tzricha legufa. He wants the mace out. So you're not doing something positive. The thing that you're doing is not. You're not accomplishing the malacha is not accomplishing the thing that you want. It's not affirmatively doing what you want. It's taking away a negative. That's a malacha she'ena tzricha legufa is pater. So over here also, when you're taking out the blood, you're certainly not. It's not accomplishing anything. You'd rather it stays where it is. Ben Mao sheyasa shliach la'aviv lahakoisai ulakale. What's the din if a son was appointed a shliach bezdin? His father had done him a lav, and he was mechuyev malchus. Bezdin wanted to have the son be the one who would carry out the sentence. Amalei b'hacha mikitiroi. So what's the din? Do we say that there's no din of there's no lav? There's not going to be the din of chanek for hitting his father. Is any other person allowed to hit someone? You're never allowed to hit someone. So why do we allow anyone to be the shliach bezdin to hit someone else? Because kavet shemayim is stronger. Hachanami kavet shemayim adif. So too over here, kavet shemayim is adif. It's a little hard to understand. Because before we had said that there's a nafkamina between an Isser Lav and an Isser Chanek. But I think that was in the context of a shaygig. We were taking a risk of coming to. So he didn't want to risk getting a Isser Chanek, but an Isser Lav, you could take a risk. Over here, we're talking about doing it in the first place. Once the Torah says that it's mutter, it's chutra. There's no. You have to bring a carbon when you do a shaygig. But when the shliach bezdin doesn't have to bring a carbon, he's not doing anything wrong. It's entirely mutter. So mikavet shemayim, it's going to be mutter. That's the sheet of Rav Sheshis. Rav Sheshis holds that you can appoint a son to give malchus to his father. Correcting what Meisvei. Omami shem mitzvah lahakaisai, mitzvah shaloi lahakaisai. I'll bring you a kal v'chaim. If someone has a mitzvah to hit someone, it's a mitzvah not to hit him. Misha ain't a mitzvah la'kaisei and a din she mitzvah shaloi la'kaisei. Someone who there's no mitzvah to hit him, or the mitzvah not to hit him. Certainly there's a din. It's certainly a kal v'chaim that it's a mitzvah not to hit him. Now none of this makes any sense. What is it talking about? My love, idi v'idi b'makam mitzvah. L'chayra, both of these, the first part of this brisa and the second part of the brisa are both talking about where there's a mitzvah to hit him, meaning where Bezdin appointed him a shliach. and we'll bring a kal v'chomer like this. Habibnoi, haba'achim. And we're saying, someone who is not the son. So there's a mitzvah for the shliach bezdin to hit him. It's not his son; he has a mitzvah to hit him. Mitzvah shalala kaisei. If he exceeds the amount of malchus that he was given, he's not allowed to do so. He's going to get he himself. The shliach bezdin is going to be chayiv if he exceeds the amount that he was told to do. Misha eni mitzvah kaisei. The son. There is no mitzvah. He's not allowed to hit his father, even when he's a shliach bezdin. Certainly by him, if he exceeds the amount, he's going to be chayiv. Or so the point is that, but the point is that it's coming to bring a kal v'chomer that his son is not going to be allowed to hit his father, and it's going to be if he does more than that, he's going to certainly be chayiv. But the point is that the brisa refers to the son in the second part as someone that it's a mitzvah, ain't a mitzvah la kaisei, that he's not allowed to hit his father. So you see, not like Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes had said that b'makam, when he was appointed a shliach, the son is allowed and indeed required to hit his father. No, that's not the understanding of what that was saying. Like adi loishna b'noi v'loishna acha. I'm sorry, did I skip? My love, adi b'makam mitzvah b'noi v'acha. Loy, yeah, adi loishna b'noi v'loishna acha. It's not true. It doesn't make. We could say like Rav Sheshes, and the son is allowed to hit his father, where he was made a shliach of bezdin. But loy kasha. But it's not shver. What does the brisa mean? Kam b'makam mitzvah, kam shaloi b'makam mitzvah. The first part is when it says that it's a mitzvah lakaisi, is talking about where he was appointed by bezdin. Kam shaloi b'makam mitzvah. And the second part is talking about where he wasn't a shliach bezdin at all. Uma b'makam mitzvah, shemitzvah lakaisi. If someone who was made a shliach bezdin, there's a mitzvah, and he's supposed to hit it. Mitzvah shaloi lakaisi. If he overextends his boundaries and he goes past 39, he's doing an aveira shaloi b'makam mitzvah. Someone who's not a shliach bezdin, she'ein mitzvah lakaisi. He never had a heter to hit him. Ein din she'ein mitzvah lakaisi. It's just telling you the general din that a person is not allowed to hit another yid, and it's a kal v'chomer. If someone was appointed to hit, if he exceeds that amount, he's going to be chayiv. Certainly, someone who was never given a heter in the first place, who hits another yid, is going to be chayiv. He's going to be over on a lav. Okay, so we've answered. That's how Rav Sheshes would answer. So it could be. So we still have Rav Sheshes's shita is still viable that a ben can be a shliach to is not allowed to be a shliach to hit his father. Tashma. He is allowed to hit his father, right?
He said because
he couldn't hit his father. Yeah. Tashma. Someone who is being taken out, a condemned man who's being taken out to the gallows to be killed. And his son came and he hit him and he cursed him. Chayiv. He's going to be chayiv. If someone else comes and hits him and curses him, he's potter. What's the difference between him and his son and someone else who hits a condemned man? We're talking about where the condemned man refuses to go, and this person was essentially appointed. He was the bailiff. He was dragging him. He hit him to get him to go to the execution. So, according to Rav Sheshes, l'chayra, this is shver, was saying that another person is allowed to do it, but a son, even though bezdin tells him, "We need you to get him to the gallows," he's still going to be chayiv. So, the Rav Sheshes mukul b'shein misavim by lotzes. Sheshes will say this is talking about where he's not resisting, and the son hit him. If that's the case, why is the other person who hits him, why is he potter? If the guy's going willingly, why is the guy gets that? So tomorrow, Acha Gavra Katelhu. He's already like a dead man. So even when you hit him, there's not going to be a chiyuv for hitting him. Zakt Gemara of Amr of Sheshes, Baisa Yoshan Umeis Chayiv. If someone was mavayish, someone who's sleeping, and before he woke up, he died, the person who is mavayishim is going to be chayiv. And the way the Rashi explains it is that someone who is sleeping, he dies before he wakes up, and he gets a busha, he never feels the embarrassment. If you don't know, this is a case where what you don't know doesn't hurt you. If you never were embarrassed, a person, you can't be embarrassed while you're asleep. And when you wake up and you know that something happened embarrassing, then it's embarrassing. So if you say that someone who was embarrassed while he's sleeping is chayiv, it must be because his family is mavoyish. Like we had this is a whole Gemara before, a long Gemara about whether busha is because of the embarrassment to the family or embarrassment to the person. But this seems to show that it's embarrassment to the family. Now, if that's the case, how can you say Gavra Katelhu? What difference does it make that he's dead? But if someone hit him or cursed him, the family is going to be mavoyish from it. Zak Gemara, we're talking about it was a akah that was not even a shava pruta, so there's no money to be paid for whatever damage was done. Even if the family has, they feel they have a claim because the damage that was done to their father or to their brother, but it wasn't the shava pruta. It's true. Maybe it's true that there's no shava pruta and there's no money to be paid, but they should get malchus because the din that someone who does a hakosh ain't shava pruta, so you don't have to pay. So since you don't have to pay, you're left. There's no kamle d'ramine that since you're paying, you can't get malchus and mammon. But in a case where it's less than a shava pruta, you should get malchus because there's no kamle d'ramine on that. So why is this person who hit someone as he was going to the gallows? Why isn't there din malchus on him? Why do we say he's potter? So the matter potter to come, potter mean mammon. It means that he's potter from paying. Sek the Gemara, Mechlal de Benoi Chayiv mammon. Gemara says if we're talking about mammon, so how could you say we said that the son is going to be chayiv and the other person acher is going to be potter? But how could
you... meaning the guy, the acher, right, who's the court appointed?
Yeah. That we're saying that he's going to get malchus. No, he's not appointed. We went off of saying he's appointed.
He's not appointed. It's Amos Darvin. All right.
He's on his way going, and the guy hit him. So we said because he's already a dead man. There was no damage done. So, but even if we go, what about Baisha Yoshin Meis Chayiv? So therefore, there's damage to other people, to the rest of his family. So we said, it's Ein Shava Pruta. So what about Laika? So we said, we're not talking about Laika, we're talking about the Mammon. We said, but that doesn't match up, because we said by B'nai he's Chayiv. B'nai is not going to be Chayiv, because if B'nai, once he's Chayiv, is going to be Chayiv Misa, and it's not going to be Mammon. Elo B'dinai. So Mar says, Elamai, when it says Chayiv and Mammon, it means B'dinai is going to be Chayiv and whatever is din. And it doesn't mean, when it says that it's potter from Mammon, it just means that it's potter from his din. It doesn't mean that it's potter from Mammon specifically. It means that he's potter from the din that he was supposed to get. Hold on, sorry.
I mean, it is a makosh.
So he gets. So when we say the din of someone who hits someone, the derech chlal, is that he has to pay money. So you usually say the mammon knocks off the malchus. So we're saying over here he's not going to get his din of mammon because he's we're saying that because he's a Gavra Katela. And Eina Chanami, he would then be, he'll defer to getting Malchus. Well, we're talking about where it's Ein B'Shava Pruta. But the point is, he will get Malchus.
The son would get Chenek and the Acher.
But the son, no, he's going to be right. The son's going to right. The Acher is going to get Malchus because he can't get the typical din. His typical din would be Mom, but he's not going to get that because he's I think because he's a Bar Katalahu, and over here
the Acher would be Potter and the son would be Chayiv Misa.
The son would be Chayiv Misa. It means it could be referring to different things. When we say, even though it ends up that one is talking about Elabedinoi, he's potter from his din of Mammon. No, he's potter from Mammon, but he'll still get Malchus, yeah. But when we say even, the problem was, how could we thought
Rashi says Hochinami Bedinoi, the Tani Gabi Acher Potter Bedinoi Kamar, Umimalchus Potterlei, Kati Maishna, meaning, in other words, because we contrasted the son and the Acher, right?
You know, it's not that many yaitza. Ella, Potter bedine kama, Malchus Potterle, Vakati, Malchus Potterle, Vakati Maishna. Is that this right, Hakanami? Ella bedine, Hakanami bedine. So what does that mean? Ella kocha chaya bedine kama misa. And Hakanami, the Tani Gabi Acher Potter bedine kama, Malchus Potterle, Vakati Maishna. Oh, so you're right. So the Gemara is asking, so back to the question. What is going to be the difference between them?
No, the scenario, the case where it was he hit him, but it was less than Shabbat.
This is a kasha, right. This is a kasha. It can't be talking about Mammon. It must be talking about Dinah. El-acha hainu time at the potter. So we have to come up with a different explanation of why Acher is potter and Aviv b'nai is chayv. El-acha hainu time at the potter, damakra, b'nasi ba'amcha lo yisa. Ba'oisa maisa amcha. The reason why he's going to be potter is because he's being taken out to be executed. He's obviously a bad guy. So the Torah excluded, the Torah says that you're only going to be mechuyev, you shouldn't curse someone in Ba'amcha. And that's talking about, it's in the parsha of a son cursing his father. So it's saying, but if it's only Ba'amcha, but if the father has excluded himself from Amcha by his actions, then there's not going to be an Isser to curse him. So we're not talking about just someone who curses his father as he's being brought to the gallows. We're talking about someone who also hits him. All mentioned over there is an exclusion that it's only Amcha, there's only a Isser, there's no Isser of Klala when he's not Isa Maisa Amcha. What do you know that he's allowed to hit him and he's when he's not Isa Maisa Amcha? So the Makshinin Hakala Klala. They both Hakah and Klala are put together. The Torah put the Hakah of a father together with the Klala of a father. So Gemara Ihachi B'noi Nami. If that's the case, I'm sorry. We're saying that the Isser to we're not talking about B'noi. We're saying that the assumption at the beginning of the Gemara was that we're explaining why you're potter when someone hits someone as he's being brought to be killed is because he's not a Isa Maisa Amcha, so there's no Isser to hit him or to curse him. But that should apply to the son as well. The son is also in that same parsha, that the son is not allowed to curse and hit his father. So this heter of Amcha should apply to him as well, that if it's not Isa Maisa Amcha, there shouldn't be a chiyuv. So the Gemara could the Amr of Pinchas b'sha'asa tshuva. Hachanami b'sha'asa tshuva. We're talking about with a man who was being brought to the gallows did tshuva. So therefore, the acher who hits him is going to be potter. I'm sorry, the son who hits him is going to be potter.
Be chayiv.
Going to be chayiv, right? Because he did tshuva, so he's back to being amcha. And it's a little hard to understand this because it's like the terutzim are so obvious, you don't even understand why it was asked. What's the difference? Why would that only apply to be mechoyev the son when it's Isa Tshuva? I guess the reason why one would think to be mechalik is a higher level for a son to be potter. It's a higher bar for the son to be potter. It's a bigger isser for a son to hit his father than the other person. So maybe b'sha'asa tshuva, maybe there's only one. Maybe the Gemara thought that would only apply to that a son would be chayiv after the father did tshuva, but maybe Lagavi Stam, the din of hitting someone, even after he's Isa Tshuva, he's still not considered Amcha for that thing. I'm just trying to understand what the word is Havamina Maskan is. Amar of Mary, but Amcha, b'mekuyim sheba Amcha. That means we're talking about only someone, he says a different, we learn out a different drasha to explain why Acher is going to be potter. Because the Torah says, Amcha, that you shouldn't curse or hit someone ba'amcha. That means only someone who's going to remain as part of the amcha. And this guy, the clock is ticking, is about to be executed, so therefore he's excluded. Nothing to do with ma'isa amcha. It says amcha about the benoi hitting his father as well. So if the father's not going to live, he should be excluded. So it says no. A son is going to be mechuyev. If that pasuk of amcha would not exclude a son from hitting or cursing his father after he's been sentenced, because the son who curses his father is like we see in the next Mishnah, that applies even after the death of his father. A son gets misa if he curses his father after his father is dead. So the fact that his father is about to die certainly won't exclude him from the isser of being makal his father. And we're going to make a hekesh of klala to misa, because the truth is that there's not going to be an isser of hakal la'achar misa. So tomorrow, my havi Allah. So what's going to be about this shaila about whether someone can be a shliach to give malchus to his father? A son cannot become a shliach to hit his father, or to be makalim. Sometimes the bezdin will put someone into chayrim and they'll need to pronounce a call on him. The only exception for this is a mesis. If the father is a mesis, shari amra Torah loisachman v'loisachas alav. It seems like this is a very, very broad exclusion, that a mesis, any specific exclusions, any protections that we build in to someone who is supposed to get, like we say that we don't do Jewish chakiris, you're allowed to entrap. All these dins don't apply to a mesis. So similarly, if the father is a mesis, you'd be allowed to appoint the son to give him clap, to punish him. But anything else, it wouldn't be allowed. Okay, we'll stop over here.
Thank you. Have a great day.